Kowloon District, Hong Kong. Ip Man's private training hall. March 3, 1967. Friday evening, 8 o'clock sharp. The atmosphere inside the training space carries weight, not humidity, but anticipation. The density of something unprecedented about to unfold. Something that violates the natural order of martial arts hierarchy. 30 Wing Chun students sit motionless along the perimeter of the small dojo, all senior practitioners, all disciples who've trained under Grandmaster Ip Man for years. Some for decades. They've been summoned for a demonstration none expected to witness, a test that challenges everything they understand about the master-student relationship. Center of the room. Two figures stand separated by 10 feet, facing each other in silence. Ip Man, 74 years old, the Grandmaster, the legend who transported Wing Chun from Foshan to Hong Kong, who instructed thousands, who preserved the art through war, through destitution, through exile. He wears traditional Chinese Chan Shan black silk, simple, elegant. His posture remains perfect, despite advanced age, hands relaxed at his sides, face serene, but his eyes sharp, intensely focused. This isn't an elderly man. This is a master operating at the apex of his capabilities. Opposite him stands Bruce Lee, 27 years old, black pants, black shoes, shirtless. His physique resembles sculpted art. Lean muscle, defined power, coiled readiness. He doesn't assume the traditional Wing Chun stance, but something modified, his own invention, a hybrid of Wing Chun and something transcendent of Wing Chun. Hands also relaxed, face displaying respect yet determination. This isn't merely a student. This is a master in his own domain. 15 years. That's how long Bruce trained under Ip Man, beginning at age 13. A skinny, troubled teenager who arrived at the school seeking fighting skills, seeking defense against street gangs and bullies. Ip Man accepted him, taught him not merely techniques, but philosophy, not just combat, but comprehension. For 15 years, Bruce absorbed everything Ip Man offered. Then he began evolving it, questioning it, transforming it. 3 years ago, Bruce departed Hong Kong for America to teach, to propagate martial arts through Hollywood. During those 3 years, he developed his own system, Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist. Not Wing Chun, but born from Wing Chun. Modified, adapted, evolved. Some label it improvement. Others call it betrayal. Now Bruce has returned to Hong Kong to visit his teacher. And the question suspended in air for 3 years demands resolution. Has the student surpassed the master? Has Bruce's evolution exceeded Ip Man's tradition? Is Jeet Kune Do superior to Wing Chun? There exists only one method to determine the answer. Ip Man proposed this test personally. "We will fight," he declared. "No holding back, no teacher-student courtesy. We fight as equals, 20 minutes or until one submits." Bruce hesitated. Fighting his master felt wrong, disrespectful. But Ip Man insisted, "You have evolved beyond what I taught you. I need to see how far you've traveled. This is not disrespect. This is the final lesson." The 30 students seated along the walls hold certainty about the outcome. Ip Man will win. Must win. He's the Grandmaster, the source, the root. Bruce is brilliant, yes, but still the student. The branch cannot exceed the trunk's strength. That's natural order. That's how it's always been. But some, the youngest students who've observed Bruce in recent years, aren't so convinced. They've witnessed his speed, his power, his innovation. They've heard stories from America of Bruce defeating champions, forging his own path. They wonder quietly whether perhaps the impossible might occur. Ip Man speaks first, voice quiet yet penetrating. "Bruce, you were my student for 15 years. I taught you everything I possess. Now you've taken your own path. This is proper. This is how martial arts evolve. But tonight I will determine whether your way surpasses mine or if you still have lessons remaining. Bruce bows deeply, genuine respect radiating. Sifu, everything I am originates from you. What I've created stands upon the foundation you provided. Tonight I will demonstrate not that I'm superior, but that your teaching was so powerful it enabled me to grow beyond it. That is your legacy. Ip Man nods. A small smile. Then let us begin. No referee. No countdown. No ceremony. The two men simply commence. Bruce moves first, not attacking, but transitioning into his Jeet Kune Do stance. Left foot forward, not the centerline stance of Wing Chun, but something more mobile, more dynamic. Ip Man notes this immediately. His student has indeed transformed. Ip Man attacks. A chain punch, the signature of Wing Chun. 3 strikes, in rapid succession, straight down the center line. Fast, precise, overwhelming. Bruce doesn't block using the Wing Chun method. Instead, he moves laterally, slipping off the center line, counter-striking with a finger jab toward Ip Man's eyes. Ip Man deflects, retreats, resets. First exchange, 3 seconds. Already both men have learned something. Bruce's lateral movement is faster than Ip Man anticipated. Ip Man's chain punches are sharper than Bruce remembered. 2 minutes elapse. They exchange techniques, testing, probing. Bruce employs linear attacks, but from angles Ip Man doesn't expect. Ip Man utilizes center-line theory, but adapts to Bruce's movement. Neither dominates, neither retreats. They're perfectly matched. The students observe in silence. Some experience shock. Bruce isn't being overwhelmed. He's matching their grandmaster strike for strike. This shouldn't be possible. Others feel thrilled. This represents the highest level of Wing Chun they've ever witnessed. Teacher and student, both at their peak. 5 minutes pass. Both men breathe harder, not from exhaustion, from intensity, from razor-sharp focus. Every technique gets countered. Every attack gets neutralized. Ip Man attempts a low kick. Bruce checks it, counters with a back fist. Ip Man traps the arm, pulls Bruce off balance. Bruce spins out, resets. The students lean forward now. This isn't what they expected. They anticipated Ip Man dominating, teaching Bruce a lesson, reminding him who holds mastery. Instead, they're watching warfare between equals. 10 minutes. Ip Man changes strategy, pursues grappling, grabs Bruce's wrist, pulls him close, attempts a throw. Bruce drops his weight, counters the leverage, nearly throws Ip Man. Instead, Ip Man uses the momentum. They separate, both breathing hard now, both sweating. Bruce's face displays concentration and something else, concern. Not for himself, for his teacher. Ip Man is 74. Bruce is 27. The age difference spans 47 years. Can Ip Man maintain this pace? Should Bruce hold back? But Ip Man's eyes communicate clearly. Do not insult me with mercy. 15 minutes. Both men move slower now, not from weakness, from caution, from respect. Each technique becomes calculated, measured. They know each other's timing, each other's patterns. They train together 15 years. They can read each other's intentions before techniques manifest. Ip Man feints high, attacks low. Bruce sees through it, counters, but his counter is also a feint. Ip Man anticipated, blocks, counterattacks. Bruce expected this, deflects. They're playing chess at combat speed. The students are witnessing something they'll discuss for the remainder of their lives. This isn't merely a fight. This is a conversation between two masters, spoken in Wing Chun's language and its evolution. 18 minutes. Ip Man connects with a palm strike to Bruce's chest. Not full power, but sufficient to push Bruce backward 2 steps. First clear hit. The students murmur. Ip Man still possesses it, but Bruce immediately responds with a side kick to Ip Man's thigh. Ip Man absorbs it, barely flinches, but his leg takes the impact. They reset, circle. both displaying the wear of 18 minutes of constant high-level combat. Ip Man's breathing is labored. Bruce's shoulders are tight from sustained tension. Both men near their limits. 20 minutes. Ip Man attempts one more aggressive combination. Chain punches into palm strike into low sweep, the signature Wing Chun attack pattern. Bruce evades the punches, jams the palm, jumps the sweep, counterattacks with a straight punch that halts 1 inch from Ip Man's face. Hold at the final moment. Ip Man freezes. Not from fear. From realization. That punch would have landed, would have concluded the fight. Bruce could have won, but stopped. Out of respect. Out of love for his teacher. Ip Man steps back, raises his hand. Enough. The room falls silent. Students confused. Who won? Did Ip Man forfeit? Did Bruce hold back? What just transpired? 22 minutes from start to finish. Both men stand breathing heavily, looking at each other with something beyond respect, with understanding, with the bond forged through 15 years of teaching and learning. Ip Man walks to Bruce, places his hand on Bruce's shoulder, speaks loudly for all students to hear. For 15 years, I was your teacher. You were my student. Tonight, I see that is no longer accurate. Tonight, we fought as equals, and you held back, not from weakness, but from respect. That shows me you've learned not just my techniques, but my heart. He turns to the students. When I taught Bruce, I gave him Wing Chun's foundation. He took that foundation and constructed something new, something his own. Some of you consider this betrayal. It is not. It is evolution. It is teaching's purpose, not to create copies, but to create masters who surpass you. He turns back to Bruce and speaks the words that will echo through martial arts history. Now we are equal, not teacher and student, but two masters of the same root. You have honored everything I taught you by becoming something more. I am proud of you, my friend. Bruce bows deeply, tears visible in his eyes. Shifu, I will always be your student in my heart. What I have become exists because of what you gave me. I honor you by growing as you taught me to always grow. The 30 students sit in stunned silence. They witness the end of a teacher-student relationship and the beginning of something unprecedented. Two masters acknowledging equality, the old accepting the new, tradition blessing evolution. In the months and years following, this moment will be debated, analyzed, questioned. Did Bruce truly equal Ip Man, or was Ip Man being generous? Did age slow Ip Man, or did skill elevate Bruce? The answer depends on who you ask, but those present that night know the truth. They observed 22 minutes of the highest Wing Chun ever displayed. They saw a master and his student fight as equals. They witnessed love and respect in the passing of the torch, not through defeat but through recognition. This encounter represents something rarer than victory or defeat. It represents the perfect culmination of teaching. Ip Man didn't train Bruce to remain forever his inferior. He trained Bruce to eventually become his equal, then to surpass him. That's what genuine teaching means. The Western martial arts world often struggles with this concept. The notion that a student might exceed the master frequently triggers insecurity, defensiveness, gatekeeping. Masters hoard techniques, withhold knowledge, maintain superiority through information control. The student who grows too skilled becomes a threat rather than a triumph. But Ip Man represented a different philosophy, one rooted in traditional Chinese martial arts teaching. The master's ultimate success isn't maintaining dominance over students, but producing students who render him obsolete. The tree's purpose isn't to prevent branches from growing, but to nurture branches that reach higher than the trunk ever could. That's what Ip Man saw in those 22 minutes. He saw his teaching's success. He saw his legacy secured not through his own continued dominance, but through Bruce's transcendence. Consider the courage that required. Ip Man was 74, near the end of his life, facing his most famous student. He could have refused this test, could have relied on his age as excuse, could have maintained the fiction of eternal mastery. Instead, he chose truth, chose to test himself honestly against what he'd created. And when the truth revealed itself, when Bruce's pulled punch demonstrated that the student had reached the master's level, Ip Man didn't retreat into ego, didn't claim he was holding back, wasn't trying, was hindered by age. He acknowledged reality, celebrated it, declared Bruce his equal. That declaration transformed both men's legacies. For Bruce, it provided validation from the source, confirmation that his evolution wasn't betrayal but fulfillment of his teacher's vision. For Ip Man, it demonstrated the ultimate teaching achievement, creating something greater than himself. The students witnessing this moment carried that lesson forward. They understood that martial arts mastery isn't about defending your position, but about elevating the next generation. That tradition doesn't mean stagnation, but foundation for innovation. That respecting your teacher means honoring their teaching by growing beyond it. This philosophy directly influenced how Bruce approached his own teaching. When Bruce later taught in America, he never demanded his students simply replicate his techniques. He encouraged them to question, to modify, to evolve, absorb what is useful, reject what is useless, add what is specifically your own. That became his teaching principle, directly inherited from Ip Man's approach. Bruce's most advanced students, Danny Nasanto, Taki Kimura, James Lee, all developed their own interpretations of Jeet Kune Do. Some martial artists criticized this, claiming Bruce's art was being diluted or corrupted. But Bruce would have celebrated it, just as Ip Man celebrated Bruce's evolution beyond Wing Chun. Bruce celebrated his students' evolution beyond his own teaching. This creates a living martial art rather than a dead tradition. Wing Chun didn't end with Ip Man. It evolved through Bruce into Jeet Kune Do. Jeet Kune Do didn't end with Bruce. It evolved through his students into multiple interpretations. Each generation builds on the previous, reaching higher, exploring further. The alternative, the master who demands eternal subordination from students, creates stagnation. The art becomes a museum piece, preserved perfectly, but irrelevant. Students become curators, rather than innovators. The tradition survives but doesn't live. Ip Man understood this. That's why he proposed the test. He needed to know whether Bruce had truly evolved or merely rebelled. The 22-minute fight answered that question definitively. Bruce hadn't abandoned Wing Chun's principles. He'd internalized them so completely he could transcend them. That's the difference between true evolution and mere rebellion. Rebellion rejects the foundation. Evolution builds upon it. Bruce's Jeet Kune Do incorporated Wing Chun's core principles: centerline theory, economy of motion, simultaneous attack and defense, but applied them with greater flexibility, broader application, deeper understanding. Ip Man recognized his own teaching in Bruce's modifications. That's why he could declare them equals. Bruce wasn't fighting against Wing Chun. He was fighting as Wing Chun's ultimate expression, its next evolutionary stage. 5 years after this encounter, Ip Man died, December 1972, age 79. 1 year after that, Bruce Lee died, July 1973, age 32. But on that night in March 1967, they were both at their peak, teacher and student, fighting as equals, creating a moment that would define both their legacies forever. Today, martial artists worldwide study this encounter, debate its implications, draw lessons from it. Was it truly equal, or was Ip Man being generous? The question misses the point. What matters isn't who was objectively superior, but what Ip Man chose to recognize: that Bruce had reached a level deserving equal status, that the student had honored the teacher by growing, that the tradition had successfully produced innovation. This moment represents teaching's highest achievement. Not the teacher maintaining superiority, but the teacher producing equality. Not the student remaining subordinate, but the student earning parity through growth. not tradition defeating innovation, but tradition enabling innovation. When young martial artists ask who won that fight, experienced practitioners smile and answer, they both won, and so did Wing Chun, because that's the truth. Those 22 minutes revealed. Victory wasn't about one man defeating another. Victory was about a teaching tradition producing exactly what it was designed to produce. A student who honored his teacher by equaling him, then prepared to surpass him. Ip Man gave Bruce Wing Chun's foundation. Bruce built Jeet Kune Do upon it. Ip Man recognized this not as betrayal but as triumph. The triumph of teaching that transcends the teacher, of tradition that enables transcendence, of a master secure enough to celebrate being equaled. That's the real lesson of March 3rd, not technique, not who hit harder or moved faster, but the profound truth that genuine mastery includes the wisdom to recognize when you've successfully created another master. Now we are equal. 4 words that honored 15 years of teaching, acknowledged 3 years of evolution, and created a legacy that continues inspiring martial artists. 57 years later, 2 masters, 1 route. 22 minutes. Eternal impact.